7,103,148,721. That's the population of the small blue planet called Earth, roughly. That planet contains 23,141,239 Australians, and among them, roughly 512,400 Tasmanians. And in that small state, there's a small city with an even smaller number, 106,153. In global terms, that's a percentage of 0.00149. A small, unassuming percentage. The kind of percentage people usually ignore. The sort of percentage that you wouldn't blame if it kept to itself and didn't try to make much noise. But this little percentage wants to have an impact. Here are just 7 stories of Launceston raising its voice.
So I'm part of a committee called Go Fair, and we were formed as part of a steering committee needed to create a fair trade council for Launceston City Council. So now we are accredited as a fair trade town, which is really important because that shows that the majority of Launcestons support fair trade and what we do in Launceston to support producers in developing countries. We've done a fair trade fiesta, which was a big celebration in Civic Square where we had a few fair trade stalls and a few businesses that support fair trade and have fair trade in their businesses. And we've also done a Fair Trade Day event in the mall, and we talked to the public, the passing public, about fair trade.
Fair trade doesn't just help farmers creating ethical working conditions. Farmers get additional funding to help their communities to build proper infrastructure, such as better schools, better health centres and better research centres.
It gives them an opportunity to work themselves out of poverty rather than just a handout.
I went along to Voices for Justice when we had 2 teams going to Canberra. It was an amazing experience. First off, we had a couple of days of training in Canberra and just listening to some speakers and doing some workshops, finding out so much more. And then we had 2 days where we were talking to the politicians. That was awesome to just be able to talk to them and have them listen and just engage both ways. It was great. Here at the school, I'm the chaplain here and I have a small group. We work together, look at the MDGs and then we find ways that we can make an action through the whole school, because they recognised that they had opportunities that millions of children just didn't get a chance to have, and that really hit home to them. So they worked really hard, and Riverside Primary became the first fair trade primary school in the state. So that was exciting, and they felt really powerful doing that.
Care for Africa is a Launceston-based non-government organisation, and we provide healthcare, education, safe, clean water, which is coupled and supported with a container project to the people of the Tarimi district in Tanzania. So Dr. Peter Hewitt, his daughter Emma and myself went to the Tarimi district in Tanzania in 2006. We saw absolute poverty. This was the beginning of the Peter Hewitt Care for Africa Foundation. We have a fabulous container project in Launceston. This is really encouraging our local community to actually engage in giving and philanthropy. We throw so much out in our society, whereas these people in Africa, particularly in these impoverished, remote, rural communities, have nothing. And this is where our container project has been so invaluable. We collect a lot of medical equipment which no longer has a life. in Australia or Tasmania, but it actually has a beautiful life in Africa and it changes lives.
Last year, Catherine and I and 10 other girls from grammar or past grammar students went over to Tareemi for 3 weeks to work in 8 different schools in their community and to take over our container that we'd packed and to unpack it and distribute the resources that we'd had donated or bought with our fundraising to the community in Tareemi.
The relationships that we developed with the young people in that community was amazing. Just getting to talk to them, ask them what sort of hopes and dreams they have, and realising that they're exactly like us.
I'm a volunteer for the Pacific Island program, which is funded by AusAid. Every year we go to the Pacific and we go there primarily to support specialist surgical services as well as capacity building and teaching local doctors and nurses in very remote areas to actually up their skills so they can then look after their own people and themselves. The thing about the Pacific Island nations, why I think it's such a worthwhile cause and why I volunteer my time for 2 weeks every year over the last nearly 10 years I've been going, is that they're our very close neighbours that we don't often think about. We only think about the holidays in the sun. And the first trip I went on when I got there, I realised that this was only one side of the coin. The other side was that these people are very impoverished. So the volunteers, doctors and nurses that go to the Pacific Island nations spend a lot of their time particularly focusing on capacity building, where hopefully in the future that they'll be able to maintain and teach their own people these skills after we've long gone. It also gives them a sense of independence, and they're very proud people, and it's our pleasure to be a partner with them.
VGen is World Vision Australia's youth movement who aim to inspire, educate and empower young people to make a difference and take action on social justice issues. The programs we run at VGen are normally uni-based programs. We do stalls and activities, hand out flyers and promote the movement to end poverty. I'm passionate about doing VGen because I found a family of people who feel the same way I do about making a difference and ending extreme poverty. As one person, it's hard to make a difference, but as a group of people, you can do more.
The road trip is a movement really of raising awareness in the local community to ask the government to increase their foreign aid or to keep their promise of increasing the foreign aid to 0.7% by the year 2020. The road trip to end poverty is about young people who are really passionate about helping the world end poverty, and it was organized by the Oak Tree Foundation in conjunction with a number of other organizations which care about ending extreme poverty in our lifetime. We went around Tasmania from Hobart, we came into Launceston, went to Devonport and spoke to a lot of people, asking them to sign a petition which we could present to the government themselves, that's saying that people want to see a change, they want to see extreme poverty ended. I've traveled a lot and I've seen how poverty has disabled a lot of people in many ways. In terms of education, people don't have young kids will be going home, sleeping on a hungry stomach, and that is really, put in my mind, like asking the question, why am I more privileged than they are? Why are they not like me? Why are they having enough food to eat? I joined the movement to end poverty because I wanted to see a change in what our government is doing, the Australian government is doing to help people who are less privileged than ourselves.
I'm part of the University Oxfam group and the Launceston Oxfam group, and we aim to raise awareness of social justice issues through different events throughout the year. So this year we've done a Fair Trade Fortnight event where we had Fair Trade afternoon tea and invited staff and students to come along to that, and it was just to raise awareness on what fair trade is and what different things people can do. Another event that we ran this year was through the National Close the Gap Day. So Close the Gap is working towards creating equal health between Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australians and non-Indigenous Australians, which there is currently a 15-year age gap. So I'm involved in the University Oxfam group because I find that social justice and human rights is a core value that I hold personally, and I think by being involved in this it helps me to raise awareness to other people, and it's important because human rights is a basic right that everyone should have.
You do anything together, and that bonding for a special purpose just gives it power. When you work together, you just feel so much more inspired and you feel so much more hopeful.
And it's a way that us here in Launceston, in Tasmania, that we can support these small-scale producers in a small way by purchasing a different coffee, a different tea that's fair trade. We can do something on our level to help these struggling producers and help a better world.
It's just amazing to see like the kind of people that are so passionate about seeing a change in the world, not from 100 years from now, but in this generation's lifetime.